Cheyenne. I wanted to leave you some feedback on your rough draft. Um, so as a whole, I think that you have a pretty good sketch for your narrative here. I think that this could make for a good narrative and one that would fit with the theme quite well. So I just want to walk you through what you have here and give you some suggestions for revision. So, I kind of like the details about you starting with not really understanding what the word meant, at the word empathy, that is, particularly when it would come up in class, um, and how you made a mental note to look it up what it meant. It might, I'm not sure if you're talking about my class or somewhere in the past, but it might be nice for you to expand on that idea a little bit, just to kind of set the scene. I do think actually it was in the past because you said after high school. High school, when it is not attached to a specific name, you don't need to capitalize it. So if it was Joplin High School, you would capitalize it then, but since you just said capitalize, it's not a proper noun, it's a common noun. These sentences right here, you're telling us what you're going to do instead of just doing it. And so the nice thing about narrative is you don't have to do that, right? So that kind of writing kind of makes the narrative a little sluggish. So I would go ahead and yank this out and instead put us in the moment of where you learned empathy, which is at Drury Inn. So before you move on with your conversation with about Sheila, make sure that you do a little bit more writing in terms of establishing setting, because there's Drury Inns all over the country, but we don't really know where this story is taking place. So I'm going to take a stab at it and say it took place in Joplin, so maybe give some details about what Joplin is like, and some details about what it's like to work at the Drury Inn. You do have a repeated paragraph here where you just say you include the same information twice. So make sure that you go back and edit out the repetition. I was curious about why your reaction was what it was. Like, why did you think that it was such a sight to see a woman smoking in a wheelchair? So perhaps give a little bit more detail there. And so I like the details that you give about her. What's not clear is how you gained all this information. And so I would recommend kind of slowing your pace, introducing your initial reaction to her, and then maybe in dialogue you can capture how you guys first struck up a conversation, and that's how you learned all this background information about her. So it kind of feels like we need a slower introduction to Sheila and how she came into your life. And I think that you can do that with descriptive writing and dialogue. You do indeed give some sad details about her background. And then you end with the idea that you didn't learn about empathy until you met her. But we don't really understand, as the readers just yet, how you empathized, right? So you're telling us what happened to her, but we don't understand why you're telling us other than, this is your example of empathy. So in other words, the one thing that we can't see yet is how you empathized. So you need to take some time to explain how you reacted to Sheila, what was going on inside, perhaps when she shared this information with you, perhaps even where your relationship stands now, and maybe even how Sheila was changed as a result of your relationship, right? So we need a clearer sense of closure for the narrative, but also a clearer sense of empathy. So I think these are the details that I would have you focus on for revision. I think you can get there. It just, it needs what we've been talking about this week, a little bit slower pacing, more descriptive detail, and use of dialogue. Okay, thanks. Thanks.